Cappadocia has one of the most fascinating landscapes in Turkey, remarkable and at the same time enchanting, and also for many centuries a place of human habitation. A bizarre world of tough stone in the middle of Central Anatolia. With old villages, folklore, rock churches, monasteries and subterranean cities. We begin our journey in Göreme, a tourist centre at the foot of a hill that is perforated with ancient cave dwellings. This area has been inhabited for many centuries, and a splendid fortress was once located on the rock. Göreme is the gateway into this wonderful region, a gentle transition from our modern world into a miraculous land of a former age. In its centre are ancient inns, baths, wells and mosques, and its surroundings contain colourful meadows, floral landscapes and the first stone fairy chimneys. In the nearby village of Cappadocia are the remains of several ancient buildings, the result of a great landslide in 1963. A new village was built at the bottom of the valley. Now it's just a fine view. Prior to the arrival of settlers, monks carved out the soft, tough rock and created what has become famous rock churches. Unfortunately, it's a matter of time until the remaining tough walls also collapse. Dervishes was named, according to the colour of its soil, the Pink Valley. An uninhabited valley with cave dwellings and rock churches. Its scenic splendour is quite unique. The first inhabitants of this region believed that the rocks were chimneys, which belonged to fairies who lived beneath the Earth's surface. A fantasy indeed. Thus Cappadocia is still known as the land of the fairy chimneys, a fitting name for this amazing landscape. And the rock formations here are quite intriguing. Small tough cones are situated close to one another, hundreds of them. The narrow confines of this place were too small for settlements. The whole of Cappadocia is a spectacular natural landscape. It's also the location of the Güzelyurt Valley that has been transformed into an open-air museum, and one of the caves features a mill and millstone, a definite sign of life hidden amid this remote area. A strange world of volcanic tuff that was once the habitat of early Christian monks and their followers. Church rooms were not only sacred buildings, but also a meeting place, a place in which to discuss daily life. It was here that they lived, worked, and prayed. Monks and farmers lived here, and rooms and equipment were added as and when required. A small mosque with a striking minaret is an indication of recent history and of the peaceful coexistence of various religions. Pasabagi, the Valley of Monks, also contains a large variety of fairy chimneys and tough cones. But in contrast to Dervishes, in this region of Cappadocia there are also traces of human habitation. Modern tourism brings those who explore this bizarre primeval landscape by way of mountain bike and walking tours. The Valley of Monks is known for some of the largest and most beautiful fairy chimneys in Cappadocia. And after a short time, the first stone giants come into view. Those who come here are attracted by an architecturally remarkable hermitage located within the tuff, the St. Simeon's Cone. It's a truly fascinating place. Urvanos, the city on the Red River, originated from a settlement of a Seljuk nomad tribe. Around 3/4 of the city's inhabitants earn their living from pottery, and some of their workshops are located in a number of caves. Since ancient times, the red clay of the river valley has been used for the production of pottery. Almost everywhere are potters and merchants offering their goods for sale. A colourful sight and paradise for those who appreciate pottery. Sare is a huge complex of well-sheltered rock caves, most of which have collapsed due to erosion. Opinions differ with regard to the original nature of this complex. Was it a caravanserai or a military base, or even a monastic centre? The location was ideal. Due to its size, it appears to have been a religious settlement. Perhaps a branch of the Bektazi order, to whom the Christian inhabitants provided one of their churches as a mosque, either voluntarily or by force. Rose Valley, also known as Belvidesi, has seen little human habitation. However, in the 10th century, it served as a refuge for monks. Solitude and asceticism were chosen by those who lived in this tiny valley. They dug caves into the soft, tough stone, and in the sheltered green valley grew fruit and vegetables. They built their cave dwellings and rock churches in places that are almost inaccessible. They could only be reached by ladder that could quickly be withdrawn. On the edge of the valley, people gather to enjoy the fascinating sunset. Sufism is common in Cappadocia, and dancing dervishes practice their mystic ritual here. Chosen believers whirl around and transport themselves into an ecstatic, trance-like condition in order to receive divine favour. The northernmost town of our journey is named after Hagi Bektas. In the 13th century, the mystic and philosopher Hagi Bektas came here from Persia and founded the Bektashi dervish order. It was here that Hagi Bektas resided. He preached a variation of Islam, with equal status given to men and women, and the value of human kindness, tolerance, and divine love. The mausoleum in the third courtyard is particularly impressive, a mausoleum of Seljuk design. Here lies the remains of Hagi Bektas with various other leaders of the order. Their sarcophaguses are covered with green blankets, and wall plaques describe religious history. In the middle of this extraordinary natural landscape are age-old stories that have been cut into the tough stone, a symbiosis of both culture and nature. The Johannes Church, not far from Güzelyurt, is, in common with most Cappadocian churches, quite subtle, to say the least. Yet upon entering the two-aisled church, there's an altogether different impression. The walls of the upper church are covered with frescoes that have been restored. Göreme is one of the oldest settlements in this area. For the older village inhabitants, the way of life here has hardly changed, although tourism has inevitably made its mark. When the town within the strange rock formations was discovered by tourism, its infrastructure was transformed. But many aspects have remained the same, a unique harmony of geologic form and man-made buildings. But Göreme has a new attraction, a remarkable cave hotel. A luxurious building that is located in the old but renovated rooms within the rock. The terrace features a breathtaking view of the town, as well as the furnishings and a cleverly designed swimming pool. In this hotel, modern comforts and tradition make for a successful partnership. Since 1991, Göreme has been the starting point for the region's balloon safaris. At first, only a handful of balloons flew here, but today they're an increasingly popular attraction. A bird's eye view by hot air balloon. Our journey begins early in the morning. They ascend to 800 meters and also venture into the region's valleys. The pilots are very skillful, well versed in the local air currents. An armada of gently rocking baskets floats above the fairy tale landscape just after sunrise. How different everything looks from above. This spectacular natural landscape, the bizarre rock formations, all created by the elements. There's no sound except for the hissing of the gas. After about an hour, the balloon lands and passengers set foot on terra firma once again. The Göreme Valley is very popular. The valley's main attraction is its open-air museum that features a large number of rock-built monasteries and churches. In the 4th century, a Greek Orthodox place of pilgrimage developed here under the influence of Byzantine monks, and various priests, hermits and nuns founded a number of monasteries. Following the invasion of the Ottomans, the caves once again served as a place of refuge, this time for Christians. Around 350 rock churches were created. Today, hundreds of visitors from all over the world come here each day to view the wonderful buildings and frescoes in the rock churches. Narrow and steep steps that were carved into the rock lead up to many small caves in which the monks spent their humble lives. At the highest point of this sheltered valley is Çimneys Church. The wall paintings are vivid, their colours fresh-looking, and the biblical scenes on the walls are magnificent. Close by is the oldest church in the Göreme Valley, Tokali Church. The largest rock church in the region. Following their visit to the open-air museum, visitors return to their buses, but not until they've bought plenty of souvenirs and ice cream. Sword Valley, Güzelyurt, also once contained human settlements, but today it's grazing horses that pervade the scene, much to the surprise of visitors. Surrounded by blossoming meadows are the remains of several cave dwellings, ancient monk settlements of the early Christian inhabitants of Güzelyurt. In the pink-coloured valley, many of the rocks have not been worked by human hand. The green meadows and plain rocks form a harmonic whole and create a picturesque scene. Between Ergup and Nevşehir is Uçhisar. From here, there's a wonderful view of the narrow Dove Valley that leads to Ergup. No wonder that these slopes were chosen as an ideal building location. Uçhisar is famous for its castle mountain. This fortress is a complex of two huge rocks that were carved out to provide shelter. Off the main tourist trail is the original Cappadocia. The artistic decorations of the facades indicate another traditional skill, a region that has remained unchanged for hundreds of years. Most of the local people earn their living from agriculture, yet tourism plays an increasingly important role due to the number of tourists who come here. The ascent to the fortress is a wonderful experience. On steep steps that have been cut into the stone, we mount the slope, and vantage points made of steel provide a welcome break. The laborious climb was worth it. The view is breathtaking. The Turkish people adore music and dance. They have rhythm in their blood. Traditional dances progress in a circle that emphasizes harmony. Each region in Turkey has its own traditional dances and costumes. Naturally, the belly dance is featured in each and every show. The circling movement of the hips requires remarkable control of the muscles. Most of the dances feature daily life, from work to searching for a wife. Women often wear veils and large trousers influenced by Ottoman tradition. The men dance acrobatically. When the women perform their sensual veil dance, onlookers sense the deep roots of the country's history. Next follows a demonstration of pure temperament. Inner strength is displayed without limit, and the audience is enthralled. Ortahisar is a small village that was constructed around a fortress rock. Everything here is reminiscent of bygone times. The facades of old stone buildings are decorated with stone carvings and wooden balconies. Nostalgia in every corner. Mustafa Pasa lies south of Ergup, a small village with a colourful history. The architecture of its buildings is totally different to that normally to be found in this region. Several Greeks once settled here and had fine houses built. Their traces are to be seen everywhere. Everything indicates that Mustafa Pasa was one of the most important cities in Byzantine and Ottoman times. kilometre outside the town is St. Basilios Church, a rock church that dates back to the 19th century. The old Helena church in the village is now a museum. Sögänlivadisi, a wide valley that is known for its fine scenery and church buildings. It's believed that the Arabs penetrated no further than here. Sögänlivadisi was, after Göreme, the second most important centre of Cappadocian monastic life. Most of its mystic rock churches and monasteries originated between the 9th and the 13th centuries. From within this surreal, fissured landscape, unexpected treasures of Christian Byzantine art are to be found. Construction of the Karabas church took place in 1060 AD, a fact confirmed by various inscriptions. It's a large complex with many tombs. Some of the churches and cave dwellings were later transformed into stables and pigeonries by the local farmers, a fact well recognized and appreciated today. Derinkuyu, meaning deep well, is the most famous of the former subterranean cities of Cappadocia. Within these caves and corridors beneath the earth's surface, early Christians survived the hostilities of their enemies. Around 20,000 people found shelter here during troubled times, along with their cattle and provisions. In a deep and well-sheltered valley is the tiny village of Güzelyurt. This area was first settled in antiquity. It was once the tomb of Bishop Gregor, a churchman who introduced the Gregorian calendar that transformed the calculation of time. Here there are subterranean cities whose entrances were only discovered quite recently. The Turkish government has since introduced a successful conservation program for Güzelyurt. Nearby, extinct volcanoes, and outside the small village of Ilara. The people here earn their living from agriculture. Hardly anything has changed here, but nearby is something else to discover. This is the entrance to the 150-meter deep Ilara Canyon, a 15-kilometer long canyon. A main path leads through the canyon that in the 8th century served as a hideaway for Byzantine monks. It is the lifeline of the valley for both plants and wildlife, as it was for those who once settled here. Far away from the big cities of ancient times, the early Christians were able to follow their religious belief undisturbed by the outside world. A unique place of worship. Near to Göreme, the narrow canyon opens up, and although the canyon continues, our walk comes to an end here. The modernization of past decades appears to have bypassed Göreme. Daily life here has remained unchanged for generations. Alas, our journey has come to an end, a journey that's taken us through the history of the rise and fall of early Christianity, which is so closely associated with the geology of this fascinating landscape. Cappadocia, an enchanting world of stone.